Bitcoin will run out at every price, and it still amazes me that people think you have to get a whole Bitcoin to be a Bitcoiner. No, you can actually get a very small percentage because Bitcoin is divisible by 100 million satoshis. Now, what are satoshis? They are the unit of account of Bitcoin. Just like there is 100 cents to a dollar, there is 100 million satoshis, also known as sats, to a Bitcoin. So when you hear people say stack as many sats as possible, get as many satoshis as you can, they're basically just saying buy as much Bitcoin as possible, regardless of how much money you can put into Bitcoin, because you can just buy $10 worth, or you can buy $100 worth, and you can see the unit of Bitcoin to the left here. So yeah, 100 million is a Bitcoin, 10 million satoshis is 0.1 of a Bitcoin, 1 million satoshi is 0.01, and all the way down to one satoshi being 0.000000001 Bitcoin. Now, if we get up the unit of account on the left, just to keep it in mind, but we can also see the different dates that Bitcoin essentially went from 1 cent to 10 cent to $1 to $10, all the way down to $104,000 today. Now we can see what dates hit those milestones and essentially how many sats per dollar Bitcoin cost back then. So you could essentially get, I think that's 10 billion sats per dollar, which is equivalent to 100 Bitcoin for a dollar in Feb 2010. And then in the same year, when its price went to 10 cents a coin, you could get essentially 10 Bitcoin, which is 1 billion Satoshis. And then when it reached $1, nearly less than a year later, you could get 1 Bitcoin for $1. So yeah, very simple. Bitcoin is just a lot of just math, to be honest. And it's really laid out in front of you how Bitcoin, you get less Satoshis for every dollar you spend as the years go on. And now we see that Bitcoin is around $100,000. So that reached it in December 2024. You could get 1,000 Satoshis per a dollar. Now, if we follow this trend, what we will find is essentially when Bitcoin's price reaches 150K, so another 50K from here, which is potentially going to be happening in the next 6 months. Sats per $1 will be 667, and then at 250 grand it will be 400, and then at 500 grand it will be 200. Then a million, it will only be 100 satoshis per dollar, and then eventually $10 million Bitcoin will be 10 sats per dollar. Now, I am with the belief that Bitcoin will one day be a $100 million Bitcoin, and you can say that that's impossible, but if we just follow what is sort of happening here with how many people want Bitcoin, essentially it's countries, it's public companies, it's private companies, it's governments, it's banks, it's individuals, and it's really repricing the rest of the world. And on top of that, they're not going to stop printing money. And because they're not going to stop printing money, essentially there is no ceiling on Bitcoin because there is no bottom to dollars. Essentially, what I mean by that is they will just lose their value more and more every year as they print them. Therefore, Bitcoin's price could reach 100 million hypothetically. Now, will we see that in our lifetime? Potentially, or maybe it will be in the generations to come. But either way, it is very possible. So I think a lot of people need to understand, because there only is 21 million Bitcoin to ever be mined and released to the market, it's essentially the only asset we've ever seen with a limited supply. Now, you could compare it to gold, for example, and people would say, oh, well, there's a limited supply in the ground. Yes, I guess that's technically true. However, we have no idea how to put a supply amount on gold. It's technically like give or take 20 million ton is under our feet. Now, on top of that, if gold's price continues to rise and its market cap increases and everyone wants gold again and they think it's the next best thing, which it's already been completely destroyed by Bitcoin in utility use and value proposition. But if that happens and its price continues to go up, well, guess what? Every man and his dog is going to go and try and get more gold. And that is what happens. We see the gold mines come through. And as the price increases, the supply increases. So people will meet the demand if the price is pushing for it. And we are now even seeing potentially looking like we might go into space to go get some gold. Now, if that happens, I'm sorry, but you do not want to be holding gold when they get back because it will be worth jack all. And at the end of the day, it is just a rock. Bitcoin, however, because it has a cap supply, there are no more than 21 million to ever be created. We're going to see the biggest supply squeeze we've ever seen because we can't even compare it to anything. And it can eat into any market. It can eat as digital property or digital gold. And it's also got the characteristics of an early tech company because it is global. It doesn't have the restraints that something like gold or housing has. It is extremely portable. You can't just send a house across the country, and you can't just send a big bar of gold across the country without it getting confiscated or heavily taxed or whatever you want to call it. Bitcoin really solves all of these problems that people are looking for the best savings account to hold into the future, something that's going to hold their purchasing power, something that's going to be useful, something that might even replace the current financial system. And another option, it doesn't even need to necessarily kick the US dollar to the curb. It could actually pair up with the US dollar and back the US dollar, like we saw back with the gold standard and the fiat dollar. The US dollar at the time. Now, we haven't been on a gold standard since 1971, so we've seen the damage it's done. We've seen how inflationary the system becomes, and everything around us gets more and more expensive because they can print out of thin air. Why should I go to work, trade my time and energy for something that another man can print? It is just paper in the end. So, Bitcoin is the hardest asset, the hardest money you want to be holding, and potentially it's the best thing you can be holding for the next 100 years until we see something else come out. Now, a lot of people are talking about, hey, what about AI? Should I be jumping on the AI train? I think you should be using AI as a handy tool, just like you use your phone as a tool or your computer as a tool. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you should be investing in it because it is so deflationary and it's becoming easier and easier to use AI and make AI and sell AI and use less and less power as it gets more and more developed. Bitcoin, on the other hand, it has been the same since 2009. It has operated the exact same, and all it has done is grown from a $0 trillion market cap to a $2 trillion, and it's passing companies like Google and Amazon. It's past silver, and it's heading towards gold. So, yes, it is the best thing you should be holding right now, and it's not too late. So everyone, scan the QR code to send me some value, or just leave a comment, like, and share it around, and I really appreciate it. Now, I'll be getting hopefully a new microphone and camera soon, so we'll see how that goes. Cheers, guys. Thanks for watching, and hit that subscribe button.